Mike Fairlake here to talk to, entertain, whatever you. Actually, I was reading a book today called "Relieving Yourself of Doubt," and the title had a subtitle, "Or Should You?" Apparently, even the author was struggling to deal, was struggling to cope and deal. Actually, I wanted to finally start what'll probably be a series of videos pertaining to the TV show Viper. I'm going to start with this will end with an unboxing of a scaled model of the Defender vehicle. I found out quite recently on social media that somebody bought the last real one. I'm not in a position to make such purchases, but I've been shopping for one, a Hot Wheel or Matchbox size for years, and I finally found one. I probably paid too much, I'll admit, but I didn't pay astronomical, but most people would probably say, can't believe you paid that much for that. Well, I wanted it, so flunk you. Anyways, so the show Viper, I'm just going to go. I actually started watching it a week and a half ago. I only got as far as the episode Safe as Houses into the series. They actually only released this, I think, in 2016, and there's reason for that. Litigation. There's actually a 2-year gap between seasons 1 and season 2. There's for technical and legal reasons, but anyways, the show Viper. I just and then I'm going to end this video with an unboxing of the Defender that I purchased, which is basically the slot car. To this day, I have never seen the whole series, and that's true. I really only remember the TV spots or trailers, whatever you want to call them, of the last episode. Something about the Joe Astor character getting zapped and becoming Michael Payton again. So, but to this day, I have not seen every single episode. So I'm going to watch the series now and share videos when I feel inspired to do so. I always thought the problem was the folks with the money for the show thought that the car made the show. I always thought the characters were just as important as the car in the TV show. It was my hope before I actually bought this back before the pandemic started. At that time in my life, I was actually picking my kid sister up for weekend visits weekend visits when I didn't work. And we would watch movies and shows that we liked. And it was my great hope that I would be able to watch this with her. That's why I kept putting off watching it. My kid sister has issues that are beyond me. Thanks, Dad. But she lives in an adult foster care, and it's highly unlikely I'm ever going to be in a position to pick her up for visits. It's just not working 2 jobs, and even if I could, I can't do that anymore. I have to have my own life now. But it was kind of my hope, why I kept putting off watching the series, that I would be able to watch it with my kid sister, because the Viper show was one of our things growing up. My other sister was Hulk and Quantum Leap. With my kid sister, it was RoboCop and Viper. That was our thing. But I haven't been able to really visit her much at all since the pandemic. She lives she lives in an adult foster care system. With having a new home now and 2 jobs, it's highly unlikely that I'll ever be able to be in a position to watch the series with her. I'm lucky if I get to see her once a year. So, as the fictional character Forrest Gump would say, Well, that's all I got to say about that. I think she idolized the Wesley character, who was one of the characters in the series from only season 2, 3, and 4. Played by Heather or something or other. I can't remember her last name. But anyways, I only remembered her first name because I came across the video on social media having to do with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I guess there was some sort of event pertaining to that. But anyways, growing up, Viper was one of the shows that I enjoyed watching with my kid sister. As I said, there was a 2-year gap between season 1, which ran on network TV, and season 2, which was actually went right to syndication. I was much older, and one day I'm just flipping the channels, and I'm like, what the hell? Viper is still on? I thought the show flopped. So it would have been quite a while since when I became aware that the show was actually still on after the initial first season. From I was basically still a child, even though I liked it. I wasn't even aware of that it was still on for probably at least a year after it probably was already running. But since it was syndication, it was pretty easy to kind of record the episodes. And I'll get to that. These tapes they recorded. Personal perspective. I liked the show, even though it flopped. I couldn't have been the only one who remembers the show since it did run for 3 more years, even though it was 2 years after the initial first season. The Franklin character, Franklin X. Water, I remember seeing the new one for the first time, and he had a goatee, and to me, he had a way different demeanor. His personality was way different. I'm like, what? This isn't the Franklin X. Water. I mean, it's obviously the same actor, Joe something or other. But this is obviously the same actor, but it is not the. Is he playing the same character, Franklin X. Water? Is this the same character? But by season 4, the actor who played Joe Astor came back, and that's when the Frankie character got rid of the goatee and started acting more like the Franklin X. Water that I knew from season 1. Especially that one episode where he goes undercover as a male stripper. Not that! Fans of the show will know what I'm talking about. But anyways, these earlier tapes, obviously I was a kid, I had much more time on my hands. I could cut the things out of the TV guide to decorate the cassette tape that I would use to record the show. And along with cutting out the TV guide clippings of the basic rundown of the plot of each episode. So later on, when I would just record the show, I didn't really have that much time. My life was much more busier. I had just enough time to jot down my own interpretation of the plots on those later tapes. Just enough time to just write it all. Oh, what happened to this episode? I just kind of took the liberty to give the episode my own outline. I actually got the idea from a history, world civics teacher in school. I remember we were studying something pertaining to the Amish once, so we watched the movie Witness, and this is obviously a cassette tape I took note of that he had made and even cut clippings out of the TV guide, and that's where I got the idea from initially in, grade school, maybe junior high. But Witness, good film, by the way. By the way, spoiler alert, the bad guy gets suffocated by corn. Like, the corn thing. But anyways, that's why I can't... That's where I got the idea to do this. And this is why I couldn't really bring myself, even though I have it on DVD now, the show, I couldn't bring myself to get rid of these tapes I made, back in the day. It's because of my my personal touch with these. For example, for one episode, I write, Westlake goes undercover. He's undercover and barely covered. And that was just me, adding the personal touch, being what my mother would call a schmuck. Oh, and by the way, there's something about $1 billion aircraft in that same episode. Oh, God. Okay, so I got to get to the unboxing now, which will probably be the highlight of this video. It's not going to be too much longer, but I was at an antique store once, years ago, and I remember talking to a gentleman, one of the vendors there, and we both agreed and concluded that things, physical objects, are only worth what someone is able and willing to pay for it. Like I said, this slot car, the Defender, right off the bat, I'm going to say, I just say that I know I paid what some people would say, why would you pay that much for that? It wasn't astronomical, but I really wanted it. But I really wanted it, one in this scale, the closest to Matchbox and Hot Wheels. But now that I'd made the purchase, watch Mattel, Hot Wheel and Mattel will finally make a Defender Hot Wheel sooner or later. It only took them 11 years to answer my a letter from when I was a kid about making a Hot Wheel of the DeLorean from Back to the Future. But this slot car is actually from a race set that I do remember. I never had growing up, but I do remember the race set. And oddly enough, oh jeez, I still have this paperwork that I photocopied in the computer lab in school years ago. It's got oil stains on it because at one point it was sitting in my shed next to the lawnmower. It's a miracle, and even though it's stained and it's a miracle, it's still in one piece. And there is advertisements in here. Right here, I'll show you. There's the race set that this slot car came from. Boy, I made good use of my time at the computer lab in school, didn't I? Oh, good. Okay, so on to the unboxing. Before I do that, just real quick. So when I was a kid, there was the Red Viper. I played, pretend was the car when it wasn't the Defender. Because they didn't have one and I couldn't afford one, I, as a child, would pretend that this was the Defender when I would be playing with my cars. This would be the Defender, which is actually a Hot Wheel Sports 93 edition of a Camaro racing version of a 93 Camaro. But it was blown up enough where I thought it was all I had as a kid. And I would pretend this was Frankie's car, because it is a CUDA. And I just added this stuff for my collection years later, because obviously fans of the show will know that the Viper went from the red one to the more amphibian-looking blue Viper. And then, actually, quite recently, I found this, and I realized that it is actually closer to Frankie's Barracuda in the series. Okay, now the unboxing. By the way, I'm only doing this because for some reason people love to watch things get opened up on social media. Videos of things being opened up and out of boxes that came in the mail. For some reason, that's a popular thing. You know what? I'm going to have to get my knife. There we go. Another Goodwill treasure I found. It's not very sharp, but I just use it as a letter opener anyways. Or in this case, a box opener. Well, That should do it. I know there's also a radio controlled or maybe a remote control car of this wrapped in a newspaper. Oh, and left a business card. Slot Car Johnny's. Look at that. There's even a phone number on there. We can call that number and see if they have another one. Good luck, though. I've been looking online for years. And the only reason I bought this is because, ooh, hey. All right, it is closer. I was worried it was going to be smaller. There. I was worried it was actually going to be smaller than a typical Hot Wheel, but it actually is pretty close to the size, the scale of a Hot Wheel. So that's cool. I'm happy to discover that. And there it is. Yeah, obviously, judging by the picture, I thought there was something wrong with one of the back wheels, but that's just the way. Remember, this was a slot car for a racetrack, so. But I am just happy. My inner child is happy because I no longer now have to pretend that this '93 zooped up racing Camaro is the Defender, because this is the Defender. There it is in all its glory. Yeah, I'm very happy. It's it's in comparison to the Red Viper, it's actually slightly smaller. There you can see, slightly smaller, but close enough where my childhood imagination can take it from there. So I'm very happy with it, with the purchase. Well, alright, I don't want this video to be long, so I'll just end with, got this in the mail recently. Somebody wanted me to subscribe to the Washington Examiner. Yeah, because once upon a time, back when I was a leftoid, I actually was subscribed to The Nation, the magazine known as The Nation. Yeah, Trump won. Inflation and illegal immigration were keys. You just figuring that out now? Oh, jeez. Yep, tomorrow morning, it will be morning in America. I never understood that phrase. I do now. Mike Perlak. There'll be more to come about Viper. I'm very happy with that purchase. You know, this car didn't talk in the series, but it did have its own drone. It did have its own drone. It used to come out the back and had guns and lasers on it.